This early morning, let's harness the power of the ultimate mantra, thus exposing a life-changing secret. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which was made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you through Patreon. This morning, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two, but first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Yoda on Dagobah under the guidance of Qui-Gon Jinn, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Good news. If at any point during this early morning live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them to your life, simply type the question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Thanks for joining us this morning. Let me know which part of the country or which part of the world you call home. We're going to explore harnessing the power of the ultimate mantra by taking a careful look at the 50th verse of the vast expanse of Vajrasattva, known in Tibet as Dorje Sampannam Kache, composed by Prahe Vajra, also known as Gaurab Dorje. Non-grasping is already the perfect offering, beyond any need for practice. So, for this to make sense, we need to view it within the context of meditation. So let's take a moment to review this process of meditation known as Ati Yoga. Meditation and mindfulness are known by many names, such as Zen, Chan, Jnana, Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, Ati Yoga, Dzogchen, and Treksho. And despite the fanciness of these names, the method is profoundly simple. What is the key to mindfulness? Well, mindfulness is not active concentration. What is it then? It is perceiving in a manner that is vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random. Thanks to evolution, with every inhalation, we automatically and effortlessly access our sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved for just this. In a nutshell, one could, if they wanted to, silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. As such, one could perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. What then is one to do with these things that one observes? We are to meditate upon them. But what does that mean? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved for both mental release and physical relaxation. When we do this, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation can now feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. Any English teacher could tell you that a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. Therefore, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, is a non-graspable to the touch. So there you have it. As we inhale, we notice. As we exhale, we release. Thanks to the caprice of evolution, there is no need to force these things. These mechanisms are already wired in to the most fundamental part of our brain, the autonomic system, the system housed within our, not even our brain, our spinal cord. It's that primal. All we need to do is align our intention with these factory installed instructions. Now that we have the context of how meditation actually works already in place, we can see that non-grasping is not at all, never about suppressing or repressing our perceptions. Au contraire, non-grasping is what we do with what we perceive. Whether what we perceive is an impulse, a primal drive to shove or to pull or to push. We notice it vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. And this is the big one. As we exhale, we allow our physical relaxation to serve as a type of carrier wave upon which mental release can surf, like a surfer in Hawaii. When we read the Dhammapada, there is a passage that reads, "Better to meditate for a single hour than squander one's life tending a sacred flame." That, when we cut through the ideograms, that are the idioms, that's an instruction to forsake ritual and simply practice the essence of the teachings, which this is. Noticing and releasing is the essence of the path. Sturgeon's law dictates that 90% of anything is rubbish, including 90% of meditation teachers, who will teach you more witchcraft than Buddhism. And they will teach you witchcraft disguised as Buddhism. Well, there's nothing wrong with witchcraft. It's not Buddhism. And no one likes at all a bait and switch. So of all the practices, entry level and arcane, that one can practice in the name of Buddhist Tantra, none of them are as effective as simply practicing this meditation, known by so many names. Those of us who are slaves to the duality of pushing and pulling and fearing and hoping, try to create for ourselves a circumstance of smooth sailing. One of the things they use in addition to ritual is incantation. A popular style of incantation from Tibet was known as wind horse, or lung ta. And its purpose is to sweep away every obstruction. But what we are promised here is this fundamental practice of noticing and releasing is the ultimate lungta. It's the ultimate way to pacify obstructions. Way back in the Heart Sutra, which is not a tantric text, but which is arguably the most famous Mahayana text, for those who are perceptive, they are told that the practice of prajnaparamita, the perfection of wisdom, functions as the ultimate mantra. And that the ultimate mantra is not a collection of syllables. Mantra literally translates, or can literally translate, as mind protection, like the thick walls of a medieval castle. Mind protection. And the ultimate mind protection is perceiving and releasing. So there are two primary reasons when we cut through the malarkey. The two primary reasons that people have for practicing mantra is either protection or acquisition. There is a wonderful monologue, one of many wonderful monologues, in a Al Pacino movie starring Keanu Reeves that came out in the 90s. If you're an old gangster like myself, you may remember The Devil's Advocate. Wonderful, wonderful movie. And in it, the devil explains quite eloquently, and I'll have to do a poor paraphrase because I don't remember the exact words, that humans have evolved, have cultivated their desire to laser-like intensity. We are desire and aversion machines. It's part of our survival mechanisms. It is the most part of the essential part of our underbrain. So our job is not to stop possessing these desires. It is to transcend the tyranny of these desires so they no longer control our choices or our utterances or our deeds. Bearing this in mind, since it is impossible to forget what we dread, what we want to push away, we can rely on our inner mind to occasionally bring these up as we sit in meditation, and that's glorious. We bring up something we want to push away, we want to get rid of or make sure never happens. Fine. And as that comes up, as we breathe in, as we breathe out, we relax and release, and something magical occurs. It's the most efficient and most subtle form of manifesting. And the opposite is also true. When instead of a dread coming up, instead a desire rises to the surface, like a creature in a dark Scottish loch, breaches the surface and reminds us that we want better sex, or better money, or better prestige, or better beauty. We simply are vulnerable when we breathe in, physically relax as we breathe out, and believe it or not, that increases the probability of us receiving these things. A primary fringe benefit of practicing this Hatha Yoga, this Mahasandhi, this Dzogchen, is that it cultivates our centered spontaneity, not scatteredness, not contrivance, not us trying to completely make things happen, not us indulging our controlling tendencies. This flow state of love's centered spontaneity, when our choices and utterances and deeds flow with love's centered spontaneity, then it becomes the harbinger of great safety and great good fortune, simply by practicing the easy practice of awareness and release. Before we begin our formal practice, I think it could be great fun if together as a team we recited the Monday morning portion of the spaciousness of Vajrasattva. Arguably the root text of all Dzogchen. Sadly, for the last couple centuries in Tibet, Dzogchen has been diluted with other practices. But this is the pure essential teachings. Let's chant together. Listen, O virtuous one, I will show you the truth of your being. You are and always have been Vajrasattva, the infinite consciousness, living presence, and creative power of the divine. The vast spaciousness of being always good, the way of liberation for all beings. Beyond appearance and disappearance, and beyond the grasp of the intellect. So, this is deeply figurative, and what it's saying is all of us already have the basic equipment factory installed to be able to notice and release. All of us have the equipment to practice liberation and attain enlightenment, to practice awareness and release, and to master it to the point of practicing it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. The Buddha said it could be done in as little as 7 years, or 7 quarters, or 7 months, or 7 fortnights, or 7 weeks, or even 7 days. Love being our essence attainment is already complete. There is no need to strive at practicing great compassion. Love being the supreme good, there is no need either to extol the many splendid qualities of compassion. And for this, I want to quickly review an artist's rendering of the human brain. Our experience of peril affects the activity of our brain, lighting up the neural activity of our underbrain in a region called the amygdala, which functions as the seat of fear. When we properly use the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems of our spinal cord, we're able to alleviate this congestion and allow the region of our anterior cingulate gyrus, the seat of empathy, to neurologically light up instead. So empathy is the effortless and automatic byproduct of a healthy practice of mindfulness and meditation. The highest love is not contrived. It's not the product of coercing ourselves and convincing ourselves to practice an analog of empathy. The highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived, and it is a byproduct of the correct use of every inhalation and every exhalation. Phenomena are not other than the true condition. Without input on all part they appear and disappear. Naturally arising wisdom need not be actively sought. Self-liberating by nature, it reveals the way. Earth, air, fire, and water are the indwelling divine. Despite our mistaken notions, liberation dawns from within our own being and is not dependent on others. Oopsie. Just as every sprint begins with a starter's pistol and concludes by crossing the finish line, I found it less jarring for the participants of these practice sessions to end each meditation with a short chant and also to begin each meditation in a similar manner. So together, let us chant 4 lines in an effort to exercise the neural pathways responsible for both empathy and enthusiasm. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. This is an archetype of enlightenment. This piece of tantric art is known in Sanskrit as Samantabhadra Karma Mudra. It is known in Tibet as Kuntu Zongpo Yabyum, which could be translated into English as all good one, mother and father. Whether real or rather archetypical, superficially, this can remind us of 5 things. Their nudity reminds us that vulnerability is a prerequisite for the practice of mindfulness. Comprised of insubstantial light, we are reminded that every relaxing into exhalation is the key to the experience of emptiness. Their beauty reminds us of the highest love, which is spontaneous and uncontrived, and is an effortless byproduct of awareness and release. The abandon with which the woman sports reminds us of spontaneity, reminds us of the play of awareness, the awareness that sees, hears, feels, smells, tastes, and the like, the awareness that emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. This spontaneous play of mind. The stability with which the fellow sits reminds us of centeredness, reminds us of the release that is accessed by physically relaxing in harmony with each exhalation. In a nutshell, the white woman reminds us of a cumulus cloud. The blue man reminds us of the infinite azure sky and a bright and beautiful cloudless day. What we perceive, perception, and release. In-breath and out-breath. Having essentialized Buddha's meditation, let's practice. There is no need to label, simply perceive and release. In China, we are taught of Jing, Qi, and Shen, body, breath, and mind. Sit in a sustainable posture as you can. Sit strong and tall in a manner that would make your grandma proud. Just as our body supports our breath supports the awareness and release of mind. Our mind's awareness and release, I should say. Relaxing as we exhale is not performed to push away what we're experiencing, but to accept what we're experiencing in the moment, to cease to resist the present moment. Let us seal this morning's practice by chanting the 4 immeasurables. May everyone be free from misery, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging free. If you feel that I have earned it, you could type something in the chat window. You could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could share it with a friend. You could even help support this channel on Patreon, capturing the QR code with your smartphone or simply clicking the appropriate link in the description area below the video. In approximately 3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's mid-morning lesson and meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.